everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm here with a solo playthrough and review of the upcoming Apiary from Stonemaier Games, and disclaimer that I was sent an early review copy of this one. I really enjoyed Stonemeier's last release, Expeditions, so let's see if they can keep the trend going and dive in. And if you like the content on the One Stop Co-op Shop, consider supporting us through Patreon. You get early access to our videos and exclusive videos every month you can't see anywhere else, listen to our podcast, or join the conversation on our Discord. So Apiary is a competitive Euro, but it does have a solo mode. That's what I'll be showing here. And it's a worker placement game. You're placing these little bee workers. This is in a universe where humans have died out and bees have evolved and taken over. And kind of like the core mechanical sort of innovation of this game is that you'll put workers down on spots, and then when you retrieve them, because this is a game where you have to like take actions to retrieve people sometimes, they will tick up to a higher value, from a 1 to a 2, from a 2 to a 3, from a 3 to a 4, and they become more effective in the actions they take as the numbers go higher, and then they can do special actions generally when you place them as a 4, but when you retrieve them as a 4, they hibernate and go away from your supply entirely. That will let you put down one of these hibernation tokens, which is also what accelerates the game towards ending. But it does mean you're down a worker for a little while unless you can replace them. And in the end, most of the stuff you're doing is trying to get resources to put tiles down. You have a different random little tile board each game, and then there's 20 different factions. It's kind of crazy that you can start with that put their tiles on that little faction spot. And yeah, you'll be buying and adding tiles that have different special powers and give you different bonuses and stuff, trying to find combos. And all those things in the worker placement are controlled on the main board. You have a bunch of different actions. You can explore to find these planets. That's mainly to get resources. You can grow to get more workers mainly. Research to get these seed cards that give you special abilities and endgame scoring. Carve only with a level 4 worker to get these tiles that are also endgame scoring. Convert to change up your resources and also unlock these dances. And the last one in the upper right, maybe the most important one, is advancing, where you get to unlock most of the tiles that you'll place on your board. And turns are very quick. You place a worker or you retrieve all your workers. The next player places a worker or retrieves all of theirs. And you just go like that until the game is done, which is triggered, as I mentioned, by getting your workers all the way to level 4 and then them hibernating afterwards. That'll give you these little tokens to put on the hibernation comb. And once all 8 of these spaces for 2-player, because I'm playing the solo with 1 Automa opponent, once those are all full, the game will end. You only use these spots for 3-player, and there's a different side of the board for 4 and 5 players. The game end can also be triggered if one player puts down all 7 of their hibernation tokens, while the other players are just napping, I guess. And I mentioned the Automa. They're fairly straightforward. All they need is one of these little docking boards and their own workers. They use both the gray and yellow color, and they're going to flip 1 card a turn. That'll tell what they might do. They'll resolve 1 action. This will break some ties in how they do that action. We'll see how all that works in greater detail in the playthrough, and if you want to skip to my review at any time, just use the timestamps. So the Automa always takes the first turn, and I start 1 victory point ahead of them on the victory point track. And how it works is I flip the first card, and first I'm going to check if they want to retrieve their workers. So all these things are going to show a little like yellow-gray mixed worker, but what you actually pay attention to is the worker in the card on the top of the deck. That's called the support card. And this says if they have 0 or 1 yellow worker left on their docking mat, then they would retrieve all their yellow workers and gain 2 victory points. That's what the little pink symbol means. Now, in this case, they have 2 workers, so that does not apply. So they're going to skip that. Sometimes there will be a carve option here. There's nothing there right now, so they'll skip that. So the action they're actually doing this turn is researching. And they always use the highest value worker they have of that color, in this case, a 3 yellow. And this part of the card reminds you how the action works for the Automa, because the actions are drastically simpler for them. For research, they're just going to get 1, 2, or 3 victory points, or if it was a level 4 worker, 6 victory points. We're not playing on expert mode. I'm playing on the 3rd difficulty level out of 6. I guess I'm a little bit scared of going higher. I've been barely squeaking out wins at this level, so I thought it'd be a good one to film. But yeah, if it was expert mode, which is levels 5 or 6, the 2 highest difficulty levels, they'd get a free extra point. But they go into the worker spot for research, and they're getting 3 victory points. 1, 2, 3. And they don't do anything else. For me, when I go to a research spot, I draw as many seed cards as the value of the worker I place, and then I get to keep 1 of them. And if I place a level 4 worker, I can also plant a seed card, which gives you endgame victory points. We'll see how that works later if I do that. But for now, that's their entire turn. Things tend to be pretty quick. Now, before we take my turn, let's look at my faction and some basic strategy I might want to follow. So I randomly picked the Pomon. They're one of the 4 basic factions they suggest for earlier plays. I played some of the more advanced ones, and they do get pretty tricky. But these ones are just going to give me 2 victory points for every farm, I think it's called, yeah, farm, these little plant icon tiles that are adjacent to this tile. And this tile includes all 3, so that, and that. And there are ways to add more tile placement spots on other areas, so I could potentially like surround my entire starting base. But long story short, if I get a bunch of farms, it's going to be good for me. Farms give me more resource capacity for carrying resources over. You've got some basic resources, fiber and pollen. Fiber is green, and here's what pollen looks like. And water is also a basic resource. Then you've got 2 advanced resources, which are much tougher to get. Wax is this trapezoidal shape, and it looks like that. Whoops. And the little honeyish looking thing is, as you might guess, honeycomb or honey. Little pot there. And at the end of each of your turns, you have to be able to fit any resources on these spots. If not, you lose them, although you do get some queen's favor. Basically, you're giving the resources away to the queen, so it's not entirely a waste. And again, farm tiles will give you extra capacity to hold more resources. And they also give you resource generation whenever you retrieve your workers after placing some of them out. Your workers will be able to work the farms and get some stuff for you. So, yeah, I think I want to get some farms going, right? So for that, I'm going to take the advance action. If I take the advance action with a level 4 worker, I get 3 victory points. But otherwise, I'm going to put them in the topmost spot they can fit. So if like somebody else is already here, they get pushed down. And if a worker gets pushed off because there's no space for them, then they actually go back to your active tile. I mean, you don't have to do that, but that's usually what I do. And they tick up 1 value, so they become stronger each time they get pushed back to be used again. So how does the value matter for the advance action? You take the value of your worker, a 2. If there's another worker here, you add them together. So like that would be 5. Without that, you just get a +1 bonus, so it's 3. And I can pick tiles to build from the columns that match my value. So since I have a 2 + 1, 3, I could do the middle or the left column. If the 3 was here for a total of 5, I could have also built from that column. And the stacks of supplies are supposed to be here, but they don't really fit without blocking my light a little bit, so I've got them off the board. So the types of tiles, let's go through them quickly. I mentioned farms. The bottom of a tile is always its cost, in this case 1 fiber and 2 water. On the left will be a victory point value. Farms are always worth 1. In the middle will be potential resource holding. In this case, you can hold 1 wax or 1 honey. And at the top, this little circular arrow symbol, that's when you retrieve. You can have income if you have the worker work on this farm as you bring them back from the board. So this one would give me an income of 2 victory points and 1 queen's favor, which is a track down here that you'll be advancing along, and it'll give you more and more victory points the farther you go, and a ton if you get very far on it. And then also sometimes you'll be spending it for certain effects. And then you also have recruits. They'll give you ongoing bonuses with certain actions or abilities, and they cost pollen and have a variable victory point value. And then down here you have developments with the lightning bolts. Those, when you place them, are resolved immediately for some cool bonus. They cost wax to build, and the last type I showed you earlier is carvings. Those cost honey, the most expensive resource to get. So here I can get this farm for 1 fiber and 2 water, or this one for 1 fiber and 1 water. All I have is 1 fiber and 1 water, so I'll get that. And you always push back to the left and then fill into the right. So this gives me a 4th water holding capacity. It's worth 1 victory point. And if I have at least 1 worker retrieved when I pull them back, I can get 3 queen's favor. And you have to place any tiles you get on an available space that is adjacent to tiles you already have. So I couldn't like just put it over here. And tiles will have bonuses on them. In this case, I'm going to get 1 queen's favor for each of these, 1 victory point for those. And this one's cool. When I build here, I can build a development, one of the immediate lightning bolt ones to the right for free. For now, let's just do that. That's going to get me 1 queen's favor for having built that, and it costs 1 water and 1 fiber. And that's it for my turn. Once I've explained all the actions, this can go super fast. Okay, now they're doing gray. Do they have 0 grays? Nope, they have 3. They can carve if they have a level 4 worker, which they do not. Carving gets you those most valuable tiles. So they're going to explore, and again, it's always their highest value one, which is level 3. So exploring is kind of like advancing in that there's 2 spaces for workers, and the sum kind of impacts how the action is going to work, except you don't get a free bonus here. In this case, it's how far orthogonally you can move this queen mothership miniature. So with a 3 worker, I can go up to 3 spaces, or they could. And at first, there's going to be just these little bonus tokens here. When you move the queen onto them, you'll get those resources if you stop there, and you take the token as well, which for the automa is worth victory points. For me, it's usually not worth anything extra. And then wherever you stop, you're going to get a planet tile face up, and it's going to give you ongoing resource generation for the rest of the game. But how does the automa do it? They're going to move through columns until they reach a space that hasn't been explored yet. They'll take the yellow token for some victory points, and then they'll place a planet there. And their movement preference is here. So this says they're going to go left in their current column and then up and then right and then up and then left. Now, they don't need to do much of anything here because they're just going to this wax one and immediately taking the Explorer token. Again, it's just worth victory points for them. 3, doesn't do anything else. And they place the top planet, which is Kerbita. And it already has a fiber generation. And then they're going to fill this blank spot with a resource of their choice. For the player, you can pick any of the basic resources, fiber, pollen, or water. For the Automa, it's also the top support card, so they're going to place a water here. So if they collected resources, they don't, by the way, then they would immediately get a fiber and a water. And in future turns, you can't leave the queen on the same spot, but if she moved away and then I, with an Explore action, moved her back here, I could get a fiber and a water. And certain planets will give a bonus to 4 level workers that are placed there. In this case, you would get 2 basic resources, pollen, fiber, or water, and 3 victory points, only if you used a 4 worker for the Explore action. But here, the only thing the Automa does is get the Explorer token. They don't care about any of the rest of that stuff. All right, and now coming back to me. Let's see. I'd love to get more workers because you can have up to 4 workers, and currently I only started with 3. But I'd also like to get some more fiber and or water to try to build some more farms. And all of that sounds like exploration is the way to go for me because that's the generally most consistent way to generate resources. So I put my 1 here. I push their 3 over. The combined value is 4, so I can go up to 4 spaces. And if I want to get more workers, that's going to take pollen. If I want to get more farms, it's going to take fiber and water. Well, let's go for the pollen. So I can move up to 4. 1, 2, 3. So I immediately get 2 pollen, then just put this token on my board. And then I also get to put a planet down. And sadly, mine does not have a free extra resource. I just get to place one of my choice. And I'm going to go for water. So I immediately get a water as well as marking the planet with it. And again, at the end of my turn, I have to hold all my resources. Any extra ones get sacrificed to the queen for some favor, but here it's no problem. And back to the Automa. Soon we'll have seen every action there is. They want to pull back if they have 0 yellow, but they have 1. They can't carve with a level 1. They need a level 4. So they're going to take the grow action for 1 victory point. And hey, they're bumping themselves, which you can also do. So their 3 increases to a 4. Whenever a worker gets bumped, they increase, unless you choose to put them on your landing area, which I don't ever do. Maybe I'm missing something in the game. But yeah, whenever a worker gets bumped, you can choose to put them in your active pool and you can use them right away again. Or in your landing area where they wait until you retrieve your workers and then they just grow things in your farms. But workers that are on the board can also grow your farm. So I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. But that was a single victory point. Now they have a level 4 worker. So the next time they place yellow, they're going to get some extra bonuses from it. And then they'll hibernate that person, but then they bring them right back for free at the level based on the difficulty, which is 2 here. So they're always going to have 5 workers total spread around, whereas I could go down to 1 worker if I don't keep on getting new ones after I hibernate. All right, so now it's my turn, and I could explore again, but that would push one of the workers off. I could grow, but that would push one of their workers off. I don't really want to do that because that'll let them activate their workers more quickly instead of wasting time retrieving. So I think instead I'm going to place my last worker on the research spot. You draw, like I said, as many seed cards as the value of the worker, in this case 1, and then you keep 1, so I'm just getting 1 card. Let's look at the parts of seed cards. They're all worth a single resource, basic resource, if you discard them, and you can do that at any point during your turn, before or after an action. Alternatively, before or after any action, you can play them to gain their bonus, which in this case is way better than that. It says gain the resources shown on any explored planet. So I could, for example, get the fiber and water that was on the planet the Automa explored earlier. And then finally, this one's way tougher and rarer, but at the bottom they've got endgame scoring opportunities. In this case, it's 3 victory points for every, what are they called? Hive frame. So the growth action, one of the options it lets you do is get these hive frames. They go on your board and they give you extra spaces to build things on. So this is how I could get more farms around my starting tiles and get more victory points out of things. But yeah, if you do the research action with a level 4, you can plant one of the cards. At first you have 2 spots for them, but as you buy more of those hive frames, you get more. And in this case, I would get 3 victory points per hive frame on my board at the end of the game to a max of 12. But yeah, in this case, I'm almost certainly going to use this for some extra resources, just maybe not right now. And that's it for my research. What are they doing? Ooh, so now 0 or 1 yellow. Yes, they only have 1. So they're going to retrieve their yellows. They're going to grab the 1 person on grow. When they retrieve, they increase them by 1. So it's a 2 now. And they get 2 victory points for free. But in a way, that's kind of a wasted turn for them. So that's why I didn't want to bump them if I could help it. As for me, I have no workers, so I basically have to retrieve. So I take them all, and they all go up to the next higher value. It gives me a 2, and a 3. And for each one that came back, not if there are 4 and hibernated, but the ones that actually came back to my active pool, I can activate 1 farm. In this case, I only have 1, even though I retrieved 3 workers, but I'm going to gain 3 Queen's Favor. Brings me up to 4, which is worth 2 victory points if I stay there till the end of the game. But retrieving is my entire turn, just like it was theirs. 0 or 1 grays. Nope, they've got 2, so they're going to use their highest value 1, which is a 2. Can't carve with it. They're going to explore again. And by the way, you might notice there is a little different thing for a 4-level worker. If they explore with a 4-level worker, they'll actually explore twice and try to get 2 of those tokens for victory points. So 2 plus 3, they can move up to 5. Although, again, they're going to stop the second they get an unexplored world. And they're going left first, then up, then right. So left, they're just going to take this 1 go away right there. And ooh, that's a pretty solid spot. Water and fiber. And there's even room for 1 more thing in the future. That's it for them. Again, I don't really want to explore because I would just be helping them to get their workers back faster. But since they're down to 1 gray worker, I'm pretty sure that it'll be going away soon. I think I want to get another farm. So before I do that, let's use my seed card, play it to gain the resources shown on any explored planet. We have 2 different options that have a fiber and a water, so I'll just pick one of them. And that gives me 1 fiber and 2 water, so lots of options for advancing a farm. I'm going to use a 2 worker. 2 plus 1 is 3, so I can afford... This one would let me hold another honey or wax. Costs both my water, though. This one only costs 1 water, let me hold more pollen or fiber. And interesting growth options here. Look at this one. 2 victory points and another Queen's Favor every time, so that would give me 4 Queen's Favor every time I pulled my workers back if I had at least 2. That's pretty crazy. Well, this one's really good, too. It lets me increase the value of one of my workers by 1, so I get to, like, those 4s way faster. Although that could also bite me because I'd be hibernating faster. So I'm going to do the 2 water and the fiber to get this one. And I could build up into there to get to that cool thing, but I'd rather get the 2 victory points. And if I upgrade this, which is another optional thing you can do, it's 3 victory points for each farm next to it. So I definitely like that better. It's going to get me another Queen's Favor. You know, I've never gone like a full Queen's Favor strategy, but it's worth 25 victory points at the end of that track, and I certainly seem to have the means to potentially make that happen with my farm, so let's try and do it, I say. All right, I'm farming up a storm, and they are not retrieving all their grays because it's a 0-1. They're always 0 or 0 and 1. Can't carve with the 2. They're exploring again. That bumps their own 3 gray back to become a 4, and 2 plus 2 equals 4. And once again, they're going left and then up. They keep on having the same directions. They're going to get this one that would give you 1 seed card, and that would give you 2 seed cards. Oh, I want that one. Oh, and this is a very empty planet, and their current support shows a fiber going there. Not much pollen production available so far. All right, now before I get to my next action, we probably should look at the carving options, because these are usually pretty important endgame scoring. They each cost honey, and this supply does not fill. So as things get carved, this will empty out. And again, you can only carve with a 4 value worker. All right, so this is just 1 for every basic resource I have at the end of the game. Meh. 2 for each active worker I have at the end of the game. So the most I could do would be 8 if I had all my workers on my board. 1 for every tile you built in your hive. I think your hive is only your starting area, so that would max out at 8. 15 if there's at least 1 farm, 1 recruit, 1 development, and 1 carving next to this? Wow. 8 if this is adjacent to your faction tile, and it's only a 1. Now, I guess I would be taking up a potential farm space by doing that, but still, it's pretty crazy. And then 12 if you have 0 or 1 active workers when the game ends, which doesn't seem too hard to make happen. And one more basic source of victory points that's pretty major that you might want to be aware of. Endgame, if you have every tile on your starting hive filled, it's worth 8 victory points. And as you add these frames, if you fill the 4 spaces on them, it's also worth 8 victory points. And they always have 2 spaces you can place a tile on to gain a seed card. So yeah, you can just like expand a lot and get tons of victory points from that. Yeah, you know what? I hate to say it, but I don't really have a great option except exploring right now because I want to get some more resources. So I'm going to push off the 2. It becomes a 3 for them. Now I can move up to 4, but I want to go here. 2 seed cards is kind of crazy because that's 2 wild resources, first of all. But then also, you know, can be used for special powers and stuff. What have I got? Recollect from 1 exploration token. So I could just get 2 pollen, for example, or 2 more seed cards. Wow, so that's pretty great, right? Just replaces itself and gets another one. Or retrieve 1 worker with no strength change or income. And that's not an action, so that could be pretty cool too. And if I seeded them at the end, 5 victory points or 2 per placed worker at the end. Interesting. Now let's see my planet. Ooh, nice. Zingy. I could teach a dance, which is in the convert action. We haven't gotten there yet, but it's got pollen, which is kind of cool. Although I'm realizing I can't really hold a lot here. I'm going to put a water down because I don't have space for pollen and water at the same time. Yeah, so the next farm I build, I definitely want to get some fiber and pollen capacity, I think. Or I just need to spend some of that pollen on something. All right, bumping the worker, not maybe the best idea. Oh, so they do not have 0 or 1 yellow. They're going to carve with a 4. So they're getting one of those awesome tiles. And these count as 2 rows. And to see which one they carve in, it said carve 2. So they're going to go to the second one, going from the top left and then down. So 1, 2. They're going to take the survival one. That's, yeah, I wasn't really looking at that one anyway, since I can probably just build a farm instead. And you can see up here what each tile type is worth to them. They'll build farms and recruits and developments, 1, 2, 3 victory points, and 7 for the carvings. They just got 7 victory points for that. Technically, you're supposed to like put them in their own spots, but why? When you can just stack them all together. If you flip this to the 2 highest level of difficulties, they get even more victory points from those. Okay, and this time I definitely know what I want to get. I'm going to grow. And how growing works, so if you have a level 4 when you grow, then you can upgrade your faction tile. In my case, remember, you flip it over, and now all the farms are worth 3 victory points for being next to my place. But then you get to spend the strength. I mean, not really spend it, it's not going anywhere. But for each 1 strength of my worker, I can spend a pollen to get a level 1 worker. That's how I get more. And for each 2 strength, I can spend any 2 basic resources to get one of those frames. So I'm going to spend all 3 of my pollen. For 1 strength out of 3, I'm getting a level 1 worker. And for 2 more resources and the rest of the 2 of my strength, I get a frame. And even though you've got like spots for seeding your seed cards here for endgame scoring, you can like go over those and just put the cards wherever they'll fit. You can have up to 2 seed cards seeded. If you have no frames, with 1 frame you can do 3. With 2 frames you can do 4. Honestly, I haven't been seeding cards that much. I think I'm not maybe playing the game very well. But hey, now I've got 2 more spots to build farms. Let's go. You know, I might as well, before after an action, retreat or recollect an explore token, get 2 more seed cards for the price of 1. Just see what their bonuses might be. Plus or minus 1 strength to one of your people. Ooh, as you place it, that'd be pretty cool. Or discard any tile from your hive to gain 3 victory points. Oh, if you don't like it, that seems a little bit weaker, but that's okay. And ooh, I'm kicking myself that I didn't do that at the start of my turn, because when you give a worker plus 1 strength, it even counts for the 4. So I could have treated this 3 as a 4 and upgraded my faction tile with that growth. Well, we'll try to do that next time. All right, to the Automa. They do not have 0 gray. They are going to carve 3. Oh my god, they're just carving so much. And that bumps this guy, so he'll hibernate. I'll show you that in a second. But let's do carve 3. They're starting top. 1, 2, 3. They're building the foundation. So when somebody hibernates, because it was a 4 that got pushed and would go up to level 5, which doesn't exist, for me, they would go away and I'd have to re-recruit them. But for them, they come back as a level 2, but they get to place one of their hibernation tokens on the hibernation comb. So first of all, these give you immediate bonuses. These little X's mean you discard all the tiles in that particular type and redraw, but it gives you honey or wax or any basic resource, seed cards, etc. And then additionally, there's a little area control element here. So whoever has 2 out of 3 of these, or the most in general, gets 3 victory points. And whoever has the most here gets 7. Second place gets 2. And they always go on the leftmost spot. That'll earn them the most victory points. So here, being in control of the 7 spot is worth more than being in control of the 3 spots. They don't get any other bonus. They just eat that spot up. All right, I'm down to 1 last worker. I think I want to retrieve in a second. So let's get a farm to make it worth more. I'm going to advance again. 1 plus 2 is 3. So I can afford this one or this one. They both can hold at least some fiber. They both cost 1 and 1. The plus 1 worker thing seems like really cool to get the stronger actions more quickly. Although, again, I could just go like literally crazy with Queen's Favor. But nah, let's do this one. So I only have 1 water. I would have said before I did that this one, I don't like the discarding a tile thing. I'll discard this for 1 fiber to make up the difference. And let's go ahead and go here and get another Queen's Favor, and I'm close to finishing my full hive. All right, that gets me to 3 victory points with Queen's Favor. All right, Automa, what are you doing? They're not 0. They can't carve with yellow, so they're doing a convert. Although for grow, research, and convert, they do all the same thing, so they get 2 more victory points. And they go to 9. But how does converting work for me? So basically, the strength is how many conversions you can make. You can trade a seed card to draw a new one. You can trade a basic resource for a different basic resource. Pollen and fiber for wax. 2 pollen and water for honey. And then if you put a 4 here, you get to teach a dance. The AI never does this, by the way, but you can do it once per game. You learn the dance. You get to pick from all like these little tokens of the different types what to fill the empty spaces for, and that becomes another conversion that you or other players can do. In multiplayer games, if somebody else uses your dance, you get a queen's favor every time that they do. But for example, something I was thinking about doing is the Dance of Sacrifice. I could say, hey, I can give up for one of my converts, remember that's equal to the worker you place there, to Queen's Favor for some honey, which, I mean, that's losing victory points for me, but I have a ton of Queen's Favor and honey's pretty valuable. Or I could do like Dance of Remembrance. How about a favor and a water? I have a decent amount of water for honey, so like way cheaper than that option. So that's how the dances work. In solo, there's a rule exception, by the way. Since the AI will never use your dance, you get 4 free Queen's Favor when you teach the dance in the game, if you ever do that. But just 2 victory points for them, pretty simple. And as for me, I have no workers. I could use my Retrieve 1 without changing their strength, but why? Let's get my guys back. So they were value 1, 2, 2, 3, so now they'll be 2, 3, 3, 4. And then I pull back 4, and I can do these things. I'm going to get 2 victory points, 4 Queen's Favor, and I can increase the strength of 1. So let's do the Queen's Favor first. Up to 5 victory points, but yeah, the promised land is coming soon. And 2 regular victory points. Usually the Automa gets a ton of victory points during the game, and you get a bunch at the end of the game, although if I play poorly, that might not be the case. And finally, I can increase 1 of my workers. Let's get to another 4. Now, I am going to need to get some pollen to recruit new workers after these people hibernate. But hibernating early, getting to use the bonuses from level 4 actions, none of that is a bad thing. All right, back to our friends over here. They do have 0 or 1 gray, so they're just going to retrieve and get 2 victory points. Their 2 becomes a 3. And the person that had carved over there hibernates, becomes a new worker at level 1, and they place another one of these. And they're always trying to maximize area of control victory points. They've already got the 7 locked currently here, so they'll put that down to lock the 3. They always go top to bottom, left to right. All right, for my action, I'm going to explore. I need some more resources. 1, 2, 3, 4, going back to Kirbita, ready to get another farm. And then additionally, because I placed a level 4, I get 2 basic resources of my choice and 3 victory points. So boop, boop, boop. And I think I'm going to get 2 pollen because I'm going to hibernate 2 people when I retrieve this time, and that will give me the resources to replace them. All right, now back to our friends. Yellow, not retrieving, so they're going to advance. We haven't seen what they do with this one yet. Basically, this is them getting a bunch of tiles for resources. At all levels, they take a farm, but then at level 2, 3, and 4, they take different mixes of types. So here at 2, they're taking the leftmost recruit and the leftmost farm. They don't care what they are. They're just worth victory points to them. And they also clear out the middle for each type that they take. So we're going to fill in a bunch of new stuff. Let's see, looking at the new options, we've got some cheaper farms we can get pretty easily. Oh, whenever you build a farm adjacent to me, gain 1 victory point. That seems like that would have been a lot better earlier. Ooh, farms no longer cost water? That would have also been awesome way earlier. Darn it. All right, well, for my action, I'm going to place my 2 worker, push them down. That's 4. Get this farm. Let's just keep on. Ooh, well, no, I don't have the water for that unless I discard a seed card. But man, getting extra wax. I don't know. I'm not really using that much, am I? We'll just keep being boring farm person. And put that there. I do want to finish those 4 at some point, but this is getting next to my place. Yeah. Next is them. They don't have 0 grays, and they can't carve. Well, they couldn't have anyway. So they're doing a 3 advance. Oh, advancing again. Darn it, they're pushing their own person. They're getting a farm and a development. So yeah, their 2 gets pushed to become a 3. Although, hey, now if I advance again, I'll push my own guy. And what did it say? Farm, development. Let me clear those out. Ooh, what is this? Crop rotation. Build any 2 face-up farms for free. That's pretty darn good, I gotta say. But I don't know, I'm kind of I'm being boring here, but I'm going to explore with a 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go to Zingy. I want to get some pollen to recruit some more people. So I'm getting 2 pollen and a water. And then because it's level 4, I can teach my dance and use it twice. So because I'm teaching my dance in a solo game, I immediately gain 4 Queen's Favor. And then even though I'm kind of worried this might lose me more victory points than it gains me, I think I'm going to do the Dance of Sacrifice to get me 4 Queen's Favor, the same 4 I just gained, for 2 honey, because I can use it twice. 2 honey, meaning I can, I don't know, what do I want to build with it? I don't think Harvest will work out. Mausoleum or Expansion seem like the most likely to pay off, I think. By the way, let's quickly show you because I'm pretty full up. I've got my honey here. I can hold 1 more there. I've got my pollens all over here. I can hold 1 more pollen or 5 there. Looking pretty good. I definitely want to try to fill those for maybe get another farm or two, flip this over, and at some point, maybe actually hibernate some people. We'll see. But for now, they're up, and they are retrieving their yellow because they've only got one. There's one I convert. It's going up to a 3, and they get 2 victory points. Nice weak turn there. I like that. And you know what? Let's be basic here. I'm going to push my own 2 off to become a 3. And I can advance. I've got 1 water. I'm going to discard this retrieve a seed card to get 1 fiber. So 3 plus 3. Oh, I can do any of these. I don't know. Another way to get 2 victory points seems pretty good as the game gets close to ending, maybe. Not that it's close yet, but it will accelerate pretty quickly. And I'm getting a seed card for free here. This might be the last farm I put down because filling these 2 spots, you can't quite see because they're off screen, for 8 victory points and these 4 for a bunch of victory points, including that it's really just 3 and then that'll fill itself. That seems like a better quick fix option than trying to like build a whole nother frame around here. My new seed. I'm not going to ever use that, am I? Convert 3 resources to get 1 honey. I've got honey. And 2 victory points per recruit. I don't have any of those. So, yeah, that's not a great option. We'll probably just discard that for a resource. Okay, now they're down to 1 last card, so we actually shuffle everything back up and go back to it. And just to remind you, if you're saying, hey, Mike, when does this game end? It's when the entire hibernation comb is filled. So when, at this point, 6 more bees hibernate, and I'm about to hibernate 2 when I retrieve. That's what are they doing? Gray. They can't carve. They're going to advance with a 3, which pushes off their 3. And now I feel bad for pushing them into a 4. And they're getting a farm and a development. I'm going to get to, if I ever build up to the right of my board, get to build a development for free, even though I have no wax. Build 2 farms for free. I don't know if I'll have room for them. But plant up to 2 seed cards for free. That could be amazingly good for victory points if I can set myself up for it. To that end, maybe for my last worker, I could just pull them back now. Let me do the research action. Draw 3 seed cards and try to find a good one. Pay 3 pollen to gain a recruit. That just saves you the action. Retrieve 1 without a change. Ooh, what is this? If you reach space 15, yes! If you reach space 15 or higher on the queen's favor plus 6 victory points, that's the winner right there. Get out of here, y'all. Remember, if I had gotten 4, I could have planted one of these, but I'm hoping to get that development to do it for me instead. I'm out of workers, so I'll be retrieving and hibernating in a second. They're going to carve with the 4, 1. So 1 going left, they're getting the harvest. I'm still thinking I might at some point carve to get the expansion, which should get me 8 victory points straight up. Nothing bad with that. Oh, and actually, I'm looking at the rule book, and it's not differentiating my starting tiles from the frames for hives. I think this is for every tile I've built, like anywhere in my hive. It does say that it doesn't count my starting tiles, but yeah, that might be like worth 10 or 12. I got to get that thing before it goes away. But for now, I'm just pulling back. Both my 3s become 4s, and both my 4s become nothing. They're hibernating. Now, importantly, they don't get to farm because they didn't actually come back. So I can only activate 2 of my farms. I think I want 4 Queen's Favor and 2 victory points, these 2. Because now I doubly want to get this as high as I can. And I get to hibernate twice. I could lock in the 3 victory points here. Or I could like get some wax here. But yeah, I kind of like the idea of making sure I get the 3 here, and then maybe I can try to grow in there. So that's going to get me a Queen's Favor. I'll get rid of all the farms and replace them, and 2 victory points. All right, and the Automa is going to place a 3 on Convert, getting them 3 victory points. Now for me, this one's kind of a no-brainer. I'm going to place my 4 on this Grow action because I want to get some more workers. So because I did a 4, I get to upgrade my faction tile, which is going to take these 5 farms from being worth 10 victory points to 15. And all my stuff will just go right back in a second. And then I'm going to spend 2 of my 4 pollen to get 2 level 1 workers back. Those are all the ones that aren't in my pool right now. And I've still got 2 strength left. Do I want to put down another frame? I can barely fill the one I have. Yeah, see, I think I'm just going to waste the other 2 things I could have done. So I need to build some more tiles. I don't want to waste resources if I can help it. All right, what are they going to do? Advance again. And they don't have 0 yellows, so they're getting a farm and a development again. And they push themselves down. Okay. Oh, and good. The development that I really want is still there, but I might run out of chances to get it. Speaking of running out of chances, I didn't want to put my 4 on the carve place to get that expansion, but I want them to pull their people back yet. I'm not just going to help them out, because they are clearly going to retrieve yellow or gray super soon. So to that end, I'll take a kind of minor action with one of my 1s and explore. Let's get a free Queen's Favor, sure. And ooh, cool, we get a double resource. So fiber I want for building a farm. But besides that, I think I might need pollen. We'll see how it goes. All right, we're getting close here, people. Okay, they're retrieving their yellows. I was hoping they retrieved their grays, but oh well. Oh, geez, they were both threes, so now they'll both be fours. So that's a little scary. And they do get 2 victory points. Yeah, I wanted to carve, but it's still not open. So I'll advance instead. I want to get to that arboretum, so I can get up to a level 4. I'll spend 2 of my 3 pollen to get this guy. Um, he's kind of terrible. Whenever you build a farm adjacent to him, he gets 1. I think I'm only going to build 1 farm next to him, but it's fine. I mean, I'd rather do the advanced guy to be able to pay not water for farms, but I can't reach him. And that'll get me an immediate victory point. I just want to get 2 more tiles, and then I can get that thing I want. All right, come on, dude. Pull back your grays. Pull back. Nope. They're going to carve. Oh, man. Are they going to get the expansion one? No, they're not. Although, what the heck? They're pushing their own guy again, so they're hibernating, going to a level 2. But they were carving 2 from the left, so boop, boop. They're getting that one. And they're going to hibernate in the only spot they can. 3 more hibernations until we lose, y'all. Or, I mean, not, we'll probably lose, but also until the game ends. All right, but you know what? I hate to do this, but I'm going to push them off the carve with my last worker. Push them down to a 2. They're hibernating into another one of those spaces, so 2 spots left. Oh, man, I don't even know if I'm going to survive. Maybe I don't want to do that. Yeah, hold on. I'm not doing that. I'm realizing I'll end the game too quickly. Once the entire hive is full, each player gets another turn. So whoever ends the game gets like sort of an extra turn in a way. Yeah, I'm going to run out of turns that way. So I'm going to pull back all my workers. The 4 will hibernate, and these ones will become 2s. What do I want? I don't want to do that because I'll get rid of all the developments. So I guess I'll just get a basic resource, maybe a pollen. I don't know. And I did pull back 2 farmers, so definitely doing 3 for Queen's Favor and 2 victory points. Because yeah, look at this now. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at 12, and it keeps on going up. But I just want them to steal those advancements, and I want them to go away from the carving spot, and I want a lot of things. They're putting out a 2 gray on the convert space. That's fine. For 2 victory points. Okay, now I want to advance and then carve, and then I'll have my things. So let's do it. I'll advance with my 2s, and what do I want to get? Oh, that's right. If I build a farm adjacent to that guy, then I get a victory point. So I'll just build the cheapest farm. I use my 1 fiber for that. I'm getting a victory point for the space and another victory point for building a farm adjacent to this guy. And next turn, if I carve, I can get it. So just like retrieve your workers, man. Just do it. Yes! That's literally just what I wanted. Because the yellow is blocking the carve space. So now I won't help them out too much. Although, crud. They are hibernating. And they get 2 victory points. And yeah, no chance I'm getting the 7 majority victory points here anymore. So the next time anybody hibernates, which looks like it would be me, I'm going to put a 4 out, and they don't have any at the moment. Yeah, the next time anyone hibernates, it would trigger the end of the game. We'd each get 1 more turn. Okay, but yes, here we go. It's everything I wanted. Boom. Carving. Boom. Using honey. Boom. Plus 1 victory point for every tile in my hive, which again, I believe includes these. Boom. When you build here, build a development to the right for free. Boom, boom, boom. Let me hear you say, wayo. Plant some things. So I'm planting 6 if I reach space, 15 or higher on the queen's thing. I already have. And 5 if my hive mat is full, which if my hive mat. So yes, okay, that's the difference. Hive is everything. Hive mat is the starting thing. My hive mat is full. So boom, I can't fit them. But there's 2 planted seeds out of 3. I could get 1 more since I have a hive frame. And I feel like that's about the best I'm going to do. If I have time to fill these with more tiles, that'd be cool to get the other 8 bonus points, but I think the game's about to end. Because once I retrieve, I'll pull back my own 4 and hibernate them into the final space. What are they doing? Yellow 2 on the grow space for 2 victory points. Whatever, do it. All right, here's my thoughts for final turns. I advance. Yes, it's going to pull back their own gray guy, make it a 4. That's not great for me. But then I can retrieve on the next turn, trigger the end of the game, and for my last action, advance again, fill my last 2 spots, get 8 more victory points. I think it's the best I can do. Although, I'm going to give them a 4, and they'll probably use it next turn and get like a ton of victory points. But I still want to put my last worker down so that when I retrieve, I get 2 farms. I can really bump up my my Queen's Favor a bunch. So why don't I just, I don't know, explore? Move to 2? Where can I even go? I mean, I guess getting a victory point is never a bad thing, right? There we go. Give me a victory point. And whatever. I guess I'll get a fiber in case I get a chance to build a farm. I'm not sure if that was the right call, but the game's about to end anyway. They are pulling back all their grays. Interesting. Oh, which gets them the 4 anyway. And they're getting 2 victory points. So yeah, let's definitely end the game now so that maybe I'll get lucky and they'll place the yellow instead of the gray. So I'm pulling back my 3 workers. That one becomes a 3, and this one hibernates, which is going to be the last hibernation of the game. And only 1 spot to put him. I guess I'll get pollen. I don't know. I'm going to get rid of all the recruits. I doubt that will matter. So I'll get 1 more turn and they'll get 1 more turn. But the important thing we can't forget, we get to do 2 farming actions I will have one final action after this. So what's better? 3 Queen's Favor is clearly the best. So that gets me 13, 15, 17. Oh my gosh, it keeps on going up so much higher if I could just get a little more. Well, then I think that makes my choice obvious. I could have increased one of my guys to a level 4, but no, let's do this. So I'll go to 19 with the 1 Queen's Favor and 2 victory point farm. All right, final turn for the Automa. Come on, do yellow. Do yellow. Yes, yes, yes. They're just growing with the yellow. They push back their own. They get only 2 victory points instead of whatever insanity they would have done with the gray guy. And then it's my final turn. I've got a ton of resources and like really nothing to do with them. I can't possibly fill this up. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do. They're just level 3, so they can't do any cool 4 stuff. I mean, I think advance is the like obvious option. Most victory points. I've got 3 pollen, 1 fiber, 1 water. I can go here, here. Canvas is worth 0. Ooh, this guy's worth 2. Those are worth 1. So he's the best. We're spending a pollen and getting a nurse. And there's a low but not 0 chance that something cool could happen here because I am covering up a seed spot. And sometimes seed cards like let you place an extra person. Ooh, that will do it. That will do it. So I could pay a fiber and a water to place a farm and get the 8 victory points I wanted to. Yay, okay, cool. And it says it can be any one. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, that's my final action. I don't have too many extra wasted resources. Let's go to the the victory points and see how we did. See, the Toma's at 28. And then we just basically do their tiles and their exploration points. Farms are 1 each, that's 4. Recruits are 2 each, that gives me to 34. Developments are 3 each, that's 9. They're at 43. And the big one, they did a lot of these. Carvings are 7 each, that's 28. So they jumped to 71. They had 3 exploration for 3 each. That's 9 more. They're at an even 80. That's a pretty good score. I don't know if I'll catch them for that. All right, so first we check the seed cards that we planted. 5 of my hive mat is full. It is. So that's 5. And I definitely reached space 15 or higher, so that's 11. I'm so far back that gets me to 28. All right, and then resources for my placed tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 for each farm. 7, 8, 9. 0 for that, 0 for that. So that's 9. 37. Okay, then expansion. It said I don't count my starting one, but I think everything else counts. So 4, 7, 10, 11, I think. I mean, that doesn't seem out of line with the other 2 cost ones. That gets me to 48. Okay, next is a big in Queen's Favor. 19. Let's go. Oh, I'm nipping at your heels. 19 would be 58, 67. And then 8 for my hive mat, 8 for my frame. That is 16. So that's 73, 83. Did I already pass them? Oh, my lord. And then I still get my hive's power. I mean, my faction. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Yeah, bye. I guess I should have upped the difficulty after all. I've not won by this much at this level before. Okay, I'm at 98. But they have 7, 10. Oh, no, 7 more. And I have 5 more. Because I have the majority here and second place here. So I'm at 103. And they're at 87. That was great. Good job, Mike. Okay, yeah, so sorry, that was level 3 out of 6. Clearly, they could have gone a lot better, but literally the last game I played at this level, I won by like 2 points. So things just really came together well this time. So let's do a quick review on Apiary, the solo play, and everything else. And man, I just got to tell y'all, like Expeditions was pretty good. I think this is even better. This might be, I mean, I've only played it like 4 or 5 times, so clearly this is early. I don't want to be too hyperbolic, but this might be one of my favorite Stonemaier games, at least so far. I love the tile placement. It's just fun kind of filling things up, getting fun bonuses as you fill them. And the different hive boards you can have, the different bonuses, the different shapes really change things up, so that's a lot of fun. But yeah, it's putting these things down, getting bonuses, getting like kind of adjacency powers, and the great variety in powers because there are just so many tiles, blue and yellow and red and green. I mean, the green aren't that varied, but still, that's a lot of fun. And then all these friggin' factions. Like, not all of them are crazy different, but they do push you in pretty strong directions. You know, it's not like huge asymmetry or whatever, but there are 20 of them. How are there 20 factions? It is just ridiculous. Like, they've really packed a ton of content in here. And I've played a different faction every time, and they all have pushed me in different directions. So again, even though it's not like mechanically super different, it's not like you're straining your brain to learn them or anything, these are great. I really like the variety the game gives with this and those starting faction mats and all that stuff. And the action spaces themselves, I really appreciate it's not that complex. Like there's some cool things going on with your choices. The choices are meaty and fun, but learning the action spaces or teaching the game, this is not a tough game to grok. Like you're getting resources to explore, you're making those resources into other things that convert, you're getting more people at grow, you're getting some of the cards at research, and then you're spending the resources at advance and carve to get tiles on your board. That's pretty much it. Once you figure that out, you're off to the races, and it's just kind of the little nuances and nitty gritties that'll help you plan your strategy and everything. And as a sometimes fan, sometimes not of worker placement, I find this simple mechanic pretty fun. Even in solo, like yes, clearly there's going to be more going on with more players and more interesting things with like pushing and stuff. But the choice of where to put your workers, the way that they increase in power, but that like getting them to the fore is both awesome and terrible because they have to hibernate. And like the choice of when to push and when not to push, when to wait and hope that they retrieve so that you can get to some spaces without having to push them first. I think, the key worker like aspect works really well. It works really well. Great job, Mike. And is a lot of fun. I don't really have any complaints about it. It's an interesting worker placement system. Spaces are limited and tight. You have interesting choices with it, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a quick game, and it's very tense and fun. And then the Automa, I mean, it's very much an Automa factory system, which means they're not really doing the same things a player does, but they're getting in your way in interesting ways. They're clearing out the tiles, they're stealing the tiles, they're exploring the planets, they're filling up worker spaces. It's not too predictable. I guess that is a complaint against it. Like you can't really tell where they're gonna go, but you can at least see when they're close to retrieve. You can see when they might get out of your way soon, and then if you can like find an alternate action to do before they might pull back, and then you can go where you want to go. That kind of tension and choice is pretty cool. And the key thing is they're just so simple to resolve. Like the recording clearly took a lot longer, but without explaining and stuff, I've been playing solo games of this in like 45 minutes, but it doesn't feel like a quick 45-minute game. It feels meaty. The choices feel interesting. It feels like it's ending right when it should. Like maybe the game could go a few more rounds, but then I think it might overstay its welcome. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have very many complaints about this. We'll see as I play more. But so far, there's tons of variety. The worker placement is interesting. The combos and like tactics and strategies you can go for are cool. The spaces, the worker placement action spaces are neat without being overwhelming. I think this is a slam dunk. I hate to be so positive on a game. Again, maybe in shelf life in 6 months, once I've played it like 10 more times, maybe I won't love it as much. It's hard to say. But for now, I think this is great. So good job to Stonemaier and crew. Thanks for letting me have a review copy early. And go check it out. I think they're doing pre-order. I forget what the date that I'm posting this is supposed to be. I think it's maybe when the pre-order starts. But either way, I hope you enjoy looking at Apiary. Hope you like this video. And hey, a quick shout out for our highest Patreon supporters. These are our co-op champions. And I've got 4 to mention and thank today. Dan Kierstead, Jay Willie, Joshua Thomas, and Nick Skeen. So Dan, Jay, Joshua, Nick, and all of our amazing Patreon supporters. Thanks for keeping the channel going, giving us the money to buy new equipment and purchase games for coverage and all that kind of stuff. Really, really appreciate you. And everybody else, good gaming, and we'll see you at the next stop.